All right. All right. So it's podcast time, as you well know by this point. And today, guys, we're talking about personal brands. And we're going to get into it really quickly. But as always, the goal of this show is to help athletes build their dream careers in sport. We talk about the mindset, we talk about the training side, we talk about each and every piece you need to reach the levels that you're trying to reach within your sport and what you can do to give yourself a better chance to actually do it. And we're going to get into the show right away. So let's get it in 3, 2, 1. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Elite Development Podcast, the number one show for athletes looking to gain an edge on their opponents and build their dream careers in sport. I'm your host, Kenny Dusseault, and today we are talking about personal brands. And we're talking about personal brands today, not because I am, some kind of expert marketer or anything like that. I'm not going to, try to overstate my qualifications or anything like that to you. But we're talking about this today because this is something athletes need. And this is something that a lot of athletes don't understand how to actually create. And so from the experience of building a business, from the experience of taking that business from, barely surviving through the pandemic to currently thriving and becoming more and more well-known every single day, I'm going to talk you through a little bit of that experience, why it's going to be important for you, and then in turn, give you some basic steps on how you can start building yours. So, guys, personal branding. I know it's the thing that so many athletes don't want to dive into because, you're not a businessman, you're a fighter. And I get it. I wasn't a businessman, I was a coach. But I soon started to realize that if I wanted to succeed in the world of coaching, I needed to learn the business side to be able to, make the money that I want and need to survive, to continue to run my business effectively, to stop having to worry about money every month, to, again, grow my business and have the impact that I want to have on the world. And that's exactly why it's important for you guys as well. So a few of the reasons that building a personal brand is important for athletes. Number one is connecting with the fans and connecting with potential sponsors. So right out of the beginning, you might not have tons of fans in your first 1 or 2 fights, but as that fan base grows, you want to connect with them. And the reason you want to connect with them is because in a business like this, without a good connection with fans, without people wanting and caring about tuning in to see you fight, you don't have a career for very long. Yes, your fighting skill is obviously going to be a huge part of that, but the influence of who wants to see you fight is going to be a massive part of that too. One of the prime examples of this just happened last weekend. Sean O'Malley fighting Aljamain Sterling. It's in the sold-out arena in Boston, and this was the biggest fight in bantamweight history, even though Sean, on paper, doesn't have like the greatest resume in bantamweight history or anything like that. He's a phenomenal fighter, but on paper, he isn't at that level yet. But the reason he was able to generate such interest and such passion for that fight is because his fans know him and love him. Every single day, they see him on social media. They see him on YouTube. They see him posting funny shit. They see him gaming and doing all this other kind of stuff. And because he's doing so much of this stuff, his fans grow to know him, love him, and then ride or die with him when he fights. And so he was able to generate the biggest bantamweight fight in history. And this is why it's important for you guys to start doing now. Because again, if you want to wait until you're at that level to start trying to connect, first of all, you're going to be trying to connect. You're going to be trying to connect with millions of people instead of hundreds. And then in turn, it's going to be a lot more difficult for you to start making that connection when you get to those kinds of levels. So starting to connect with your fans, starting to, build that personal brand now and starting to, help people get to know you a little bit more right now is going to be crucial to you rising to that level of stardom and making that kind of money and impact when you hit those higher levels in the sport. Number two, and this kind of goes hand in hand, is visibility and opportunity. So again, this was the biggest bantamweight fight in history. Why? Because Sean O'Malley was this, 40-0 absolute murderer who had beaten everyone in the top 10. No, he'd beaten one guy in the top 10. He hadn't fought in almost a year. Yet still, His pay-per-view was bigger than when Aljo fought Henry Cejudo, who was a 2-division champion, an Olympic gold medalist, all these things. Why? Because people care about Sean O'Malley. Of course, Aljo has a piece of that as well, but the reason this one was so much bigger is because people care about Sean O'Malley. Now, when it comes to the visibility and when it comes to the opportunity, yes, this is going to make you more money within those fight-specific opportunities. But the other thing that a lot of people forget is that level of visibility and that level of opportunity also bring other opportunities. And this goes hand in hand with the third point, which is monetization. If you watch Sean O'Malley's Instagram, there's a post that he puts up. I believe he's still doing it every single week. And it's the move of the week sponsored by King Palm. And so this company pays him every single week to post a video of him hitting his fucking bob dummy with a crazy move that he invents. You think they're going to pay a guy that has 100 Instagram followers to do something like that? Of course not. But he has millions. So now he's making money because he's well known, because people like him and want to see him fight. He's making money in other areas on social media. He has a YouTube channel with almost 700,000 subscribers. Why? Because people know him, people like him, and people want to watch him fight. And because he's built that connection over years with his audience. Whenever he drops merch, he makes millions. And he makes that kind of money off of that merch because people know him, people like him, and people want to see him fight. But it starts with putting yourself out there and actually starting to build the brand. If you want to start getting these monetization opportunities, you want to start getting more visibility, more opportunities outside of the actual combat sports world in the first place. And so now, how do we go about actually building this? Because obviously, it's important. We see how it can create more financial freedom for you, more higher level opportunities for you. So how can you go about starting to actually build this? The first thing that you need to start doing is identify who you are in this world. Who you are in this world and why people should actually care about coming to watch you fight. Because if you can identify this, if you can show people why they should care about you, then more people are going to resonate with you. And in turn, more people are going to want to continue to watch you fight. Now, this can be similar to the Sean O'Malley. What kind of interests do you have? Like, he does his podcast, he's a streamer, he does all these other things outside of just fighting. And because he talks so much about that stuff and puts so much of that stuff out there, he's developed a huge audience of people that love him because they have similar interests and they resonate with this world champion athlete on such a deep level. Or it can be simply about telling your story. I know an athlete of mine, the guy started fighting when he was 16 years old. He's 29 now, and he's been slowly but surely working his way up the ranks. He's competed at multiple world championships. He was an amateur for a super long time. He struggled a lot when he was younger, and the story, and I'm not going to go into detail and tell his story for him here, but the story that he has from his time coming up is a compelling story that a lot of people would resonate with. A lot of people that didn't believe in him, that thought he wasn't going anywhere, and then he found martial arts and he found fighting, and that's been able to turn his life around and get him to the place where he's at now. And guys like that, there are a lot of people out there that are going to resonate with that. And there are going to be a lot of people out there that are going to care more about you and want to watch you fight because you talk about it. But if you don't talk about it, they don't know. And if they don't know, they don't care. You know what I'm saying? So start to really define and identify your story. Start to figure out, and even do this as a brain dump, guys. Like, when I do something like this business-wise, I literally sit down with a notebook and just write anything that comes to mind. Why would people care about, me? Why would people want to work with me versus any other coach? Things like that. So for you guys, why would people care about watching me fight? What have I been through that other people might resonate with, and then in turn care about my career because of? What kind of impact do I want to have when I hit higher scales, when I hit higher levels? That's another big thing that a lot of people overlook. If you are, and again, this is a random story, but you take from this what you can. If you, as an example, were an orphan as a kid, your parents either, passed away or gave you up for adoption, whatever it might be, and you want to give back to other kids that are in that situation, if you talk about that situation, talk about things you dealt with growing up, different homes that you lived in or whatever else it might be, and talk about how what you want to do when you reach a higher level is start helping and giving back to people that are in that situation. People that are in that situation or others that have someone close to them that are in that same situation are going to want to watch you. They're going to want to cheer you on. They're going to resonate with who you are and what you're doing because you're speaking to a cause that's close to them as well. And simply by making little shifts like this, simply by, figuring out who you are and how people can resonate with you, you're going to start to draw people in. And the more people you draw in earlier, the better and better and better, the bigger and bigger, that you're going to grow. And the bigger you grow, the more opportunities start to present themselves to you. The more that you're able to monetize these opportunities that present themselves to you to both help yourself and help causes that are important to you. Now, the other thing that is really important with this, so if you sit down and you identify your story and you identify, the struggles that you've been through that people might resonate with, the next thing is actually talking about these things. Talk about the difficult shit you went through as a kid. Talk about what fighting did for you as far as changing your life. Talk about, why you love martial arts so much, what your goals are, why those goals are important to you. Put these things out there, because if you put these things out there, they're going to speak to a lot more people. And the more people they speak to, the better and better position you're going to put yourself in to draw in more fans. And again, get all of these wonderful things that the personal brand can start to bring to you. And guys, what I really want to stress is this is the basics. And the reason I started with such basic stuff as far as, what you need to start building a personal brand as an athlete is because, look, I get it. This isn't your natural thing. This isn't, what you signed up for necessarily. And I get it because I've been through it. I was the same way with strength and conditioning when I started my career. I didn't want to be on social media. I didn't want to, put myself out there. I didn't want to do anything other than coach. But then I slowly realized that if I'm not putting myself on social media, then no one knows who I am. If no one knows who I am, nobody knows that I'm good at what I do. If nobody knows that I'm good at what I do, then I don't have any athletes. If I don't have any athletes, I don't pay my bills. And for you guys, it's the same thing. This is not an easy industry to make it in. But by simply starting with these simple exercises, identifying your story, identifying the things that other people might resonate with, identifying who your audience could be, and then just starting to talk about it. A couple times a week, put something on social media that shows people a little bit more about who you are. And simply by doing that alone, you're going to start to draw in some more fans. And as you start to draw in some more fans, you've got more people that are interested in watching you fight. If you've got more people that are interested in watching you fight, that's more people buying tickets, more people buying pay-per-views, that's more money in your pocket. And then in later episodes, I'm going to talk about more deeper stuff in regards to this, things that you can do a little bit more directly. But this is just a great exercise to start with. And this is just a great way to take steps in, honestly, just taking your career more seriously. Understanding that whether or not this is something you want to do, this is something that's going to drastically affect your financial future and your ability to sustain a living as an athlete. And so if you're serious about that, my invitation to you is start taking this side of the game more seriously. And if by taking this side of the game more seriously, you're going to be able to level yourself up, level your financial situation up, and in turn, level up the rest of your career as well. So guys, I appreciate you. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. My ask, as always, is if you got value from this, share it with a friend, share it with a teammate, share it with someone who's going to need to hear this message. Hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day. I appreciate you all so much, and I will catch you on the next episode. All right, that was fun. If you got some good value from that, make sure to send me a message, because this is something that I want to start talking about more, because honestly, it's so important and so many people overlook it so much. And I think it's just not knowing what to do. And I get it. I was there too. I didn't know what to do when it came to starting this side of the game. But I've been working really hard at it for myself. And I have a lot of just the basic stuff, again, that can really help you guys too. So if you got value from this, if you enjoyed it, if you want to see more stuff like this, make sure to drop a comment or send me a message directly and let me know. Have a great rest of your day.